Farmer816, thank you so much for the subscription. Can I admit something to you guys? Something that I find, like, a little shameful. I try to pretend like I don't care about it, but I do. I'm obsessed with it. I don't talk about it in public. I don't tweet about it, really. I definitely don't write about it. But I am so invested in this story. Hi, my name is Brandon Morse, and I am obsessed with Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith news. There, I said it. It's out. It's out. There it is. I'm obsessed with it, and I'm ashamed. I wasn't planning on talking about it at all today, but I've been following the story, and y'all, the more either Will Smith is a victim, is more of a victim in the story than we thought, or his PR team is really good. Like they must be like his PR team is waging a war on his own wife. How crazy is that? Jada Pinkett Smith is an abuser, and I'm betting that I'm betting that the outcome is that they're gonna try to make Will Smith out to be like Johnny Depp, kind of like the victim, like, you know, he's been victimized by Amber Heard. That's a whole bucket of worms right there, or can of worms, or whatever you call it. Idioms, right? I just think it's like really, really fascinating, and it's really like I hope that it kind of gets a little bit bigger, because in my theory that Jada Pinkett Smith is just driving him absolutely mad. Will Smith, like, completely crazy, because I mean, this dude is clearly gone crazy. I'm hoping that it comes out that Jada Pinkett Smith is just this like manipulative abuser who has emotionally shattered Will Smith, and that it shines a light on just how toxic women in relationships can be, because we don't talk about it in our society at all. I know that's heavy, but I mean, like, I to be honest with you, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be like, Will Smith, you know, he hit Chris Rock and it wasn't his fault. No, it's still his fault. It's still his fault. But I kind of want to, because I mean, like, it was the actions of a crazy man. But why was he crazy? What drove him crazy? There's got to be something, because there's that household, that entire household is just weird, right? Even the kids are weird. And I think it might lead back to Jada. Don't worry, I won't talk about it too much. Unless you guys want me to. What's up, everybody? Hey, how's it going, Farmer? Thank you so much for joining. Brady, what's up, man? Noob, Kraken, John. What's up, guys? How y'all doing? I'm enjoying my day off. Only reason I can be here, though it took me a while to get up this morning. Hey, dude, if you have a day off, man, lay in bed as long as you want to. You know, unless you got something important to do. Why just turn on the TV if you got like a TV in your bedroom? Just hang out. That's what I say. I feel like jobs became a thing when people couldn't barter with their own things. Maybe maybe that's what we need to return. Just agrarian, like, barter trade system. Go back to a gold standard. You know, just like their economy. We need to simplify the economy is what it is. You know? And maybe I'll start growing my own food. You know? Farming. Mind my own business for a change. America would be much better off if I minded my own business. If everybody did. Jada has ran that man into the ground. Dude, she ran him into the ground, caused him to explode, and then just, like, started peeing in the crater. Like, it's that level of nasty. Like, there's something wrong with that lady. And I think that there's a much bigger conversation to have. You know, because especially, like, with the Amber Heard thing, and, like, you had a lot of, like, victims accuse men of doing things that were bad, but they didn't do anything. It was really the woman who was abuser the whole time. We don't really talk about it in our society. That's not this stream. We can talk about that. Like, dude, as this, we can, like, make this a whole entire, like, they're going to call it a men's rights stream, but I mean, yeah. Or like a MGTOW stream. Something like they're going to label it as one. But, I mean, like, dude, I think it's worth talking about at some point. Jada is a therapy addict. Can you actually be addicted to therapy? Is that a thing? If it is, then we need to... I mean... would a therapist actually talk to you about it? Because if you really think about it, it's like... I mean, she keeps coming to me, and I keep getting paid a lot of money, so I'm not going to help her out with her addiction. In fact, I'm going to feed it. What you should do is wait a little longer for more info and then do a full stream video on it. No, absolutely, but the emotional damage is real. Yeah. I think that would be great, because I would like to actually see what the end result of the Amber Heard Johnny Depp, like, that whole thing is. Because that's also a story that is out of this world crazy. Like, I feel bad for Johnny Depp. I think that, I'm not saying he's completely innocent, but that dude's clearly... Don't put it in crazy. That's all I can say of that, man. Yeah, she is nuts. She is absolutely out of her mind. I kind of want to hear more, but I also think it would be smarter to settle it for more. Yeah, you're right. Red with the wisdom. Well, everyone likes to stop and look at the train wreck. Maybe that is true. Maybe that's what it is. This is like the biggest social train wreck happening right now, and like even I'm like, I can't pull away from this. I gotta see how this burns. Today I want to talk about what Daddy Elon is up to. So, to go from laughing about the joke to going full-on Zoolander killed the Prime Minister of Malaysia seems a bit off. Like in terms of, see, this is why I hate latency. Like, in terms of from going laughing to the joke to going full-on Zoolander killed the Prime Minister of Malaysia seems... Oh, you're talking about Will Smith during during the Emmys. Yeah, it was a little strange. It was a little strange, and it didn't make any sense until you view it through the lens of maybe he did it. And I kind of theorized that he did it because he was trying to secure his own masculinity in front of everybody. But I kind of wonder if he did it because if he didn't do it, Jada was going to give him, like emotionally abuse him later. He did it in order to protect himself from her. And if that in that context, that's crazy because he just basically risked his entire career, maybe even his freedom. I mean, he could have been arrested just so that his wife wouldn't get mad at him. If that's the case, then dude, somebody #save Will Smith. Dude, that's the craziest thing to think about, man. Dude, if I was Will Smith in this case, I'd be like, no, take me to jail, please, God. Get me out of this house so I don't have to talk to this woman. Oh my God, that's so sad. But anyway, we're talking about Elon Musk. And Chad DeSantis and Brian Stelter. That's what we're going to discuss today. So we were talking about Brian Stelter. He got, just wrecked at this, student, this college seminar about misinformation. And there's some fallout happening from that. And the hits just keep coming for Stelter, which is absolutely hilarious. Ron DeSantis is the hero of the people. But right now, Elon Musk, the big news is that he was offered a board seat. And then he's like, no, I don't want it. I don't want the board seat. And everyone was like, oh, it was a big troll. Elon Musk was just trying to drive up the price, of Twitter stock so that he can make money. But then it turns out that there's more to the story, and we want to talk about that because this dude is smart. This dude's very smart. If you think about it, Fight Club starts out with a character addicted to therapy. Oh my God, that's true. Oh, wow. Oh, Brady. That's true. I didn't think about that, dude. There is full-on a therapy addiction. Dude, that changes things. That should change things for our society. Because everyone's talking about, go talk to a counselor, go to therapy, go do this, go do that. Maybe our society has, in general, a full-on therapy addiction. That's something to consider right there. I'm going to be thinking about that all day now. It's I'm probably going to write an article about it, theorizing it later. Bigger moves than the board on the way. Elon Musk may have a lot more in store for Twitter. So, everything right now that I'm about to read is on redstate.com. If you want to, go there right now. Everything I'm about to talk about this is on the front page. It's right there. You can follow along with me. Or not, but please do like the stream if you haven't already. And share it. Share it with your friends so that they come in here and hang out. The more the merrier. So this is what happened. Late Sunday, it was announced by Parag Agrawal, the biggest anti-free speech advocate currently in corporate America, that Elon Musk would not be joining the board of Twitter. This was his, he tweeted this out. It was basically a letter to all of Twitter. Team! Elon Musk has decided not to join our board. Here's what I can share about what happened. The board and I had many discussions about Elon joining the board and with Elon directly. We were excited to collaborate and clear about the risks. We also believe that having Elon is a fiduciary of the company where he, like all board members, has to act in the best interest of the company and all our shareholders was the best path forward. The board offered him a seat. We announced on Tuesday that Elon would be appointed to the board contingent on a background check. They're going to background check Elon Musk. And formal, except they would find out that he's just way more of a businessman and way smarter than they ever are or were. that would be that would be a depressing background for them to look up. For them. And formal acceptance. Elon's appointment to the board was to become officially effective for 9, but Elon shared the same warning that he will no longer be joining the board. I believe this is for the best. We have and will always value input from our shareholders, whether they are on a board or not. Elon is our biggest shareholder, and we will remain open to his input. So it's that whole entire thing. Smokescreen. It is an absolute, this entire thing right here, I think, is a lie. They do not think this is for the best. They wanted him to take a board seat. As scary as it was for many of the blue-haired Twitter employees that, identify as something else than what they are, this was the fact that he did not accept a board seat is scary. And it's because, what's up, Pickled Squirrel? This followed Elon Musk proposing a variety of changes to Twitter, including the humorous ones on turning the headquarters into a homeless shelter since employees were no longer required to go to go there to work and could work remotely forever. While he will not be on the board, he will still be the biggest shareholder and have influence in that way. Musk posted and deleted a smiling emoji with his hands over his face. So, this man does not tweet anything out lightly. I mean, he is very light on Twitter. He has an amazing following, but something like this doesn't just get tweeted out. Like he wouldn't. Let me get specific here. Musk wouldn't tweet this out and be like, "I trolled all of you guys, ha 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 ha." No, this means he's planning something. This dude plans things. He is a planner. He's mischievous. Stock briefly dropped 8% in market trade Monday, trading less than $43 per share, CNBC reported. However, the drop recovered slightly and by 7:30 ET was at $45.20 per share, and only 2.23% decline from closing on Friday. News of Musk's involvement in the company have caused Twitter stock prices to skyrocket over the last week, reaching a high of $53.84 per share on April 5th. So, what is Musk's intent? Well, we can kind of look in the background a little bit and see what his thinking is now. The offer by Twitter to have him on the board was, in effect, a way to control him in a deal. Being on the board would have restricted him in a couple of ways. It would have prevented him from owning more than 14.9% of the shares if he was on the board. Moreover, being on the board would have required him to be obligated to what was in the best interests of the company, which might have prevented him from doing more radical things to Twitter than he might want to do. If you read Agrawal's message, you can see how they're trying to keep him in, with a fiduciary duty. He would have been restricted in what he could have said and done, which is not Musk. By not taking the deal and being on board, he is free to buy more of Twitter and essentially effect a hostile takeover, which I in this case, I love that word, if he were to choose to do so. Some of Twitter's employees who had melted down before about his involvement are now even more upset, afraid of what is coming next. Good. God, that makes me so... The more they freak out, the happier I am. Because it means that Elon Musk is like actually doing something that... Right. It means that their side is losing and they know it. So we'll have to see what's coming next, but given his interest in the money he's already put in to have influence in the company, it would stand to reason that he's trying to free himself from any restrictions so he can act as he wants. So grab the popcorn. It may be a hostile takeover. We'll have to wait and see. I don't see how he's... This dude is playing 4D chess here. It's like, I think it's pretty obvious. Elon Musk wouldn't just go through all this effort, spend all this money, and then just go, stock price is up. Whee! Like, no. This dude's planning something. And he turned down the board seat, which initially freaked everyone out. But it's clear that board seats come with restrictions. And Elon Musk is not a man who likes restrictions. And I'm going to tell you how much he doesn't like restrictions, and because I wrote this right afterward. It was interesting because a business expert came along and was talking to a podcast, and it reminded me that Elon Musk has it out for a political movement that is coursing through corporations. And I mean, it is a nasty political movement. We're going to talk about more of that, but I want to address this first. In other words, they were looking for dirt to take him down. Elon says, F off. Yeah. Well, they weren't going to find any. What are they going to find on Elon Musk that's probably not already out there? Do you know how many people want to take Elon Musk down? Do you know how many people actually think that Elon Musk is a threat to their democracy? Quote unquote. These people are terrified of Elon Musk. And I guarantee you, there are people who saw this coming a mile away, and they were starting to dig up anything they possibly could about Musk. Anything to ruin him. At this point in time, though, like, what is there? It would have come out by now. He's the richest man in the world. They would have found something. I haven't been following this story as much as you have, but the more you say, the more I giggle with glee at the terror they have. He's becoming their Batman. Exactly. Where are the other tweets going? Tesla, SpaceX CEO, and majority stockholder of Twitter, I love saying that, Elon Musk, might be out for more than just ownership of Twitter. According to one businessman, Musk's goal might be to free corporations from an oppressive leftist movement currently infecting many businesses. So, just to reiterate, Musk doesn't want a slice of the cake. He wants the entire cake. He's like, no, I as a board member, I don't need to practice any of this nonsense. Or I have to practice some of this, political nonsense. But as owner, I can do whatever I want. According to the Daily Wire, Vivek Ramaswamy sat down with John Bickley and Georgia Howe on the Morning Wire podcast, where he revealed that Musk's recent denial of a board seat on Twitter is likely Musk attempting to own over 15% of the company, or, in other words, a hostile takeover over the social media brand overall. It was then that Ramaswamy pointed out that Musk has expressed very openly that he dislikes a movement that has been plaguing corporate America for some time called the Environmental Social Governance Movement, which he defined as, quote, a political ideology that says that companies are supposed to take action to advance particular agendas. This ESG movement, guys, is a lot bigger than you think. If you wonder why corporations have gone so woke lately, it's because of this. It's not an accident. It's not a trend. There is a movement that is there to infiltrate and take over. You know how, we have been talking about for some time, how, they have these people that came from Tumblr and were, college graduates who were trained to go out and basically infiltrate. This is the movement. This is what they're doing right now. This is their game plan. The whole entire game plan is to go out, infiltrate these places, become workers, influencers, board members, and then they, from the inside, take over the company and turn the company from being a company that sells blankets into a company that pushes political messages while they sell blankets. That's pretty much what the ESG movement is about. They're playing checkers, and Elon is playing chess. Correct. Absolutely correct. What's up, Michael H? How you doing, man? Welcome to the stream. Feel free to weigh in any time. The ESG movement is responsible for a lot of the decisions by corporations to enact social justice actions such as environmental policies that please the Church of Climate Change, diversity and equity quotas, and focuses, and more. The ESG movement looks to slowly take over companies through political and social pressure until they effectively become message carriers for leftist politics, as reported by the Daily Wire. ESG essentially acts as an end run around the constraints of politics and lawmaking by targeting the market, where people work, where they bank, where they invest, to achieve particular aims, Ramaswamy said. He continued saying that although much focus is on the non-investment angle of ESG, the issue isn't that companies like BlackRock are divesting from companies like Exxon. It's that they are, quote, invested in companies like Exxon and they vote for actually new board of directors, as they did last year, voting for 3 new board members that changed the purpose of that company. So ExxonMobil was one of those businesses, those corporations that got hit with ESG intent by the movement. And there's 12 seats on the board at ExxonMobil. 3 of them have been taken by these radical leftists now. That's the purpose. They go in there and they change these companies up from the inside. This is distorting the behavior of companies across corporate America, he added, in part because BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard, those are the 3 largest asset managers, they don't actually represent the shareholders. They're not the shareholder. They're the stewards of other people's money, everyday citizens' money. What makes the Elon Musk move really interesting is he's showing up as an actual shareholder with his money. Now the top shareholder of Twitter, who's going to say that I actually, as the shareholder and owner of the company, want to see that company heading in a different direction. So what this expert's effectively saying is that Elon Musk didn't, he's doing exactly what I said he was doing. He's going in there and he's saying, guess what, guys? Not only do I, own the majority of this company, I'm going to own more of it until basically it's just mine. And I can dictate, I become Elon Twitter Musk. This is no longer a democracy. This is a dictatorship. Whatever Musk says goes on Twitter. Ramaswamy may be onto something here. Musk has openly denounced the ESG movement very recently, saying that the movement should be deleted if not fixed. So this wasn't that long ago. Elon Musk was responding to ARK Invest director Brett Whitten, who complained that ESG framing is backward-looking, subject to political whims, and is more focused on box checking than actually helping companies make an impact. Through this pressure, they seized board seats and began altering the company from within, making it more of a lefty entity than a business focused on what its purpose is. It's a movement Musk wholly rejects, and one that he may be attempting to counter. So, it kind of sparked. I remembered that. It wasn't actually that long ago. I believe that when I wrote this, it was, earlier last month. He started speaking out against the ESG movement, which is trying to infiltrate every single company. If you are a major corporation, the ESG movement has tried to exert influence on you. They've tried to do it everywhere. You saw them try to do it, as I covered not long ago, with Red Bull. And the people who ran Red Bull straight up started chopping off heads left and right. Figuratively speaking. But all the people who tried to push that social justice nonsense on the company to the point where they were trying to blackmail the company into forcing them to cooperate, Red Bull execs just effectively started, the people who ran it, the brass, just started firing people left and right. High-seated people left and right. You're gone. Bye. And then they completely demolished what I guess was their diversity and equity department or whatever. Just completely got rid of it, and they were like, no, we're not doing this. Bye. I see Musk doing something very similar. I think that Musk is going to come in here and completely take over Twitter, and any ESG influence, he's going to push it out. And here's the great part about that. If he does it, it may very well set a precedent for other corporations who are currently besieged by this ESG movement. Because if Elon Musk can do it, if he can do it this way or whatever, maybe other people who run their businesses can do the same. This is a huge, if this happens, this is a huge blow to the social justice left, to the woke culture in America. Massive blow. Elon Musk could be single-handedly starting the avalanche that ends the oppression on our society. That might be really hopeful of me to say. But damn. What if it's true? What if that's his guilt? What if that's his aim, his goal? What's up, Dennis? ESG is the internal terror of corporate America. Yep, absolutely. The biggest vulnerability of corporations to ESG is that the legal language templates used by these companies are based on a mindless drone do as everyone else does model. That's what it's, social pressure mixed with, intimidation and a little bit of, like you just said, these people are fooled into thinking that this is what everyone else wants, and that's just not true. The lawyers are hunting for plausible denial instead of rights versus wrong. The BODs are let it happen. The department ranks are being taken over by activists who intimidate. Yeah, no, exactly. What happened with Red Bull? Here, I'm going to link it at my Twitter right now. Let me see if I can't look it up here. I'll put it on my Twitter just so you guys can see it. Follow me at the Brandon Morris if you're not already. And you will see it posted right now. It is up on my Twitter right now, at the Brandon Morse. Go follow me there if you haven't already. It's at the top where I just posted it. So basically the story is that there were some people, just to kind of give you the short version, there were some people in the company during the Black Lives Matter movement that were attempting to get Red Bull to support the Black Lives Matter movement. All these other corporations were kind of doing it. And they had an open letter from the employees to Red Bull executives, and they even tried at one point in time to blackmail Red Bull with some like weird hiring practices or whatever. And Red Bull, instead of caving, like becoming afraid and caving to them, decided instead to take all these executives from North America and the employees and stuff like that who decided to try to ruin Red Bull, and force them into compliance and just fired them and cast them out on their ass. Instead, and then they started destroying departments that were influenced by the social justice people. They just started destroying them. They're out. And it was a clear message. It was Red Bull is not going to cave to the woke mob. We run our company, not you. And Red Bull has not been heard from as far as they have left Red Bull alone at that point in time. No one's screwing with Red Bull anymore. The moment that they do any of these employees or anything, they know that they're out. I'm telling you, if any corporation really wants to get free of this nonsense, like Disney, I've almost given up hope on Disney, but any other corporation that is currently neck deep in woke culture, if they really want to take the business back, start firing people. Just do it. Don't even worry about any backlash or what might happen. Just start firing people and eliminating departments left and right. Trust me. I can post the link right here, huh? I probably could. There you go. I can post it right in the chat. So what is the ESG scores? Let's dive into this ESG thing a little bit more because it's a lot bigger than you think it is. It's a lot more influential than you think it is. It's actually pretty scary when you think about it. It's always wild when people are woke, but they don't know why they are supporting what they are supporting. That's like the vast majority of people in America on the left. Or as I like to call them, non-practicing leftists. They just do it because it's the in thing to do. And it's easier to agree with people than disagree and then have to defend your position and possibly risk being a social pariah. So many people will just go, yeah, absolutely, I believe in, high-speed rail and that, we need to increase taxes. I believe all this stuff. I believe that, transgenderism is awesome and that women should be able to compete. I believe that we should be able to say gay in Florida. All this stuff. They just kind of lay out this nonsense that they typically don't themselves believe or even care about. But they just go along with it because it's much easier. Much easier. And corporate America is a lot like that because you have many corporate leaders who are unaware of actually how people feel, but they have been convinced by these leftists that this is what everybody wants. And that if they don't do it, then their bottom line is going to be threatened. And so they just kind of react. They just do what they are told or advised to do. And it's very easy for the left to put on the delusion that this is the case because they control the media, they control social media. And they can kind of make it seem like the vast majority of America is in on this radical leftist think, So these CEOs go, oh my God, well, I need to act. And then Oreo releases a gay cookie. Non-practicing leftist is now my new favorite term. You're welcome. What are ESG scores? This is from the Heartland Institute. Sustainable investing has become one of the hottest new trends in the financial industry, corresponding with the increasing clamor for corporations and businesses to espouse more socially responsible principles. Again, this is exactly what I'm talking about. They get to virtue signal now and get to tell everybody, look at how great we are. Because we complied with X, Y, and Z. We're in the trend. We're all about coming out for homosexuals. We're all about, environmental awareness and responsibility, and we're doing this and that. Don't say gay, Bill, whatever, all of this stuff. And they then get to pat themselves on the back in public. Gillette razors, they thought that they were doing a good job or good thing whenever they released that horrible anti-male commercial where they talked about toxic masculinity and stuff. But they thought this was a good idea. They were positive. These people are being led by the nose. Some of them are true believers. I 100% believe that there are true believers out there. Dick's Sporting Goods is a really good example of that, where the CEO virtue signaled that they'd no longer be selling guns in their stores. They didn't anyway. AR-15s, they didn't sell them anyway, except for in select locations. But he was like, oh yeah, we lost effectively like a ton of our customer base, but I'd do it again. So this guy's a true believer, but he's also an idiot, and I need to know if he got fired. I hope he did. What a stupid man. Their utilization has exponentially increased in recent years, with 98% of U.S. companies now disclosing ESG scores. 98% of U.S. companies disclosing ESG scores. There is no reason. They don't have to, but they're doing it anyway. And more than 15,000 companies worldwide signing on the United Nations Global Compact, an initiative to use ESG for tracking the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. The United Nations, alongside other international organizations such as the World Economic Forum and mega financiers like Larry Fink, have been the primary sponsors of the system. If you found yourself at a loss in terms of what ESG scores actually entail, you are not alone. It is a confusing system, yet the implications associated with the system's implementation are important to understand. ESG scores are essentially a social credit framework for sustainability reporting. They are supposed to measure both financial and non-financial aspects of a company's overall risk profile. Companies with favorable credit ratings are therefore attractive targets for investment, whereas companies with unfavorable credit ratings are screened out. Ultimately, their utilization alters how businesses are evaluated, grading them on the basis of their commitment to social justice and environmental causes rather than traditional financial metrics. So, effectively, there are forces in our business and political world that are attempting to force almost kind of like a acceptability on certain corporations. And if you do not check certain boxes, you do not appear on this list. And this list is what many people in high places are using to encourage investors to invest. If you don't appear on this list, you don't get to have your investments kind of go down. And every company wants to be invested in, of course. So the ESG is effectively a partisan system that uses the threat of your bottom line kind of disappearing a little bit in order to push politics inside an organization. I hope that makes sense. Despite the implications that there is a set of standards by which companies can be objectively evaluated, there is a far from a uniform approach. Instead, there are multiple overlapping systems sponsored by governments, international organizations, and financial institutions alike. Additionally, there are numerous ratings agencies such as Moody's and S&P, each of which applies its own unique methodology to assigning scores. Studies have even shown that a rating agency's subjective view of their firm under observation has influenced their rating to a significant degree. You see these ratings appear everywhere. Like if you go to Robinhood, I don't know if any of you have the Robinhood app. If you have if you scroll down, you can actually see how they rate that company in terms of like whether it's good to invest in it or sell it. And Robinhood is one of the like largest civilian investment apps that there is. So imagine Robinhood, if it complies with ESG standards, telling people this is not a good company to invest in. Avoid it. Avoid it. That company suddenly has some trouble. Another area of potential confusion lies within the data itself. Allow me to present you with an example of just one system. Promoted by the International Business Council, the ESG system incorporates 55 metrics, which range from quantitatively determined total R&D expenses and total social investment to qualitatively determined purpose-led management. These metrics are then subjectively weighted according to the preferences of corporate stakeholders and finally aggregated together into one overall score. It is difficult to countenance a scenario in which that score is an accurate representation of a company's risk profile. So they're judging it not on how well the company is run, how much money it makes, the product, where, that product sits in terms of the market at the moment. They're rating that company based on how much it obeys the social justice trends happening in the mainstream right now. These metrics are then subjectively weighted according to the preference of corporate... Oh, I already read that. The power that these stakeholders enjoy over the determination of these metrics leads us to the direst aspect of the ESG system. Banks, corporations, ratings companies, and other financial elites are in total control and can adjust their predetermined metrics at will, as metrics are not determined by a government agency, instead being produced by the free market. No oversight mechanism exists to constrain their influence. For one, this has allowed those capitalizing upon the driving ESG scores to become exceedingly wealthy, often at the expense of others. So, the ESG is a lot more influential than you think it is. And it's scary that it's gone this long without people talking about it. It has effectively made corporations obey the woke instead of their shareholders or even acting on the best interests of the market, which is crazy. Remember the Pepsi commercial one, the Kardashians? That was the dumbest commercial I'd ever seen in my entire life. To this day, I still look back on it, and you know what? I'm actually glad it happened. Every now and again, you need like a what not to do, and that was a what not to do. Did anyone, by the way, think about handing out Pepsis in Ukraine? I'm just wondering. With a name like Fink, you know it has to be scum. That is kind of an unfortunate last name. Apologies to anyone named Fink. But I'm sorry. That's unfortunate. All the ESG agenda stuff is about shuffling deck chairs. It's activism playing zero-sum game intimidation to extract wealth from corporations. In more truthful times, it'd be called extortion. Yeah, kinda. Dennis, you're nailing it, dude. The reality, though, is that ordinary Americans don't care. On Main Street, it's about the value of product and services. This is why boycotts don't work. Left or right inspired doesn't matter. That's absolutely true. Actually, I've noticed more lately that the things that do tend to work better are boycotts. And like we've become so big nowadays in our corporations and our businesses, and the internet has really accelerated the growth of many companies. It's not necessarily about boycotting. Boycotts don't work because after a while, people, like, their anger abides or subsides, and they don't care anymore. Like, do you all remember a long time ago when Arby's got political and they started literally blocking conservatives on Twitter? Do y'all remember that? Because that was years and years and years and years ago. I don't think anybody remembers that now. And so, like, conservatives, they don't care. Like, they go to Arby's, which is fine. Their Jamocha shake is freaking bomb. I got it. It is. And their curly fries are some of the best. I get it. But it just goes to show you that people forget over time. Many people canceled their Netflix subscriptions over cuties, and then 2 weeks later, Netflix was just right back up to where they were before. From people either not caring anymore, or they realized that their favorite shows were on there and they resubscribed. What I did find, though, is that there is more of like a you can actually influence. You can still influence a company, but it's instead of going in and canceling your subscription to Netflix, or not buying not buying from a certain brand anymore completely. It's more about like micro boycotting. So if like Netflix comes out with a show that is disgusting, just don't watch that show. And then over time, Netflix will stop trying to push that show. It'll get canceled. That happened to Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop, nobody watched it. Or they tuned out very early. And it was so expensive, they were like, well, we're not doing that again. So no more Cowboy Bebop. Thank God. Don't ruin anime classics. You know, they never tried to push cuties again. You know, like, or anything like it. It just goes to show you that there are audiences, they still pay attention to what the audiences do. But the boycott, I think, is even more effective because you'll notice that there have been surges in money. Like, people coming in, if the company does something right, Goya did it, Chick-fil-A did it a while back. You know, I remember when Chick-fil-A was first attacked and they didn't back down. This was years ago. There were lines around the block to get Chick-fil-A because people wanted to support a restaurant that was actually standing up to the left. You had Goya, who was unapologetic, and you had grocery stores trying to limit the amount of Goya that people could buy because it was flying off the shelves. People were coming in there and just buying like crates, like carts of it. So the boycott, I think, really does work. I think it's probably more effective than the boycott. So if ever a company does well or something good, go buy their stuff. And if other companies see that, you know, they just got like an infusion of massive amounts of cash, then other companies are going to get in on that as well. My theory. The orange cream shake was amazing. Yeah, you don't remember it? I bet nobody remembers that Arby's thing. I've never had their orange cream shake, though. Boycotts are cool. They create single-period bubbles that cause short-term focused CEOs to panic about losing the bubble. Yeah. But, dude, money still talks, man. Money still talks a lot. And no matter how woke a corporation is, guaranteed, if there is somebody there still in charge, concerned about making money, and they watch their bottom line start to disintegrate, they'll make some changes. Trust me. For the record, Goya sodas are amazing. You're the second person to tell me that. I've never had a Goya. I didn't even know they made sodas. Never underestimate the power of convenience. 100% accurate, Farmer. 100% accurate. People, I mean, we have a first world life that we're very used to. And we will tolerate all sorts of stuff if we can continue to live it. 100% true. But let's move on. Let's move on to something fun. Y'all want to see something cool? Ron DeSantis gets the rockstar treatment at UFC 273, foreshadowing something bigger. I need to add an echo. I need an echo. I actually have a thing that allows me to do an echo, but I took it off because it was making my mic weird, but now I got a new mic. I should just try it. Next stream, you're going to see an echo. So, Ron DeSantis, on Saturday night, shows up at a UFC fight in Jacksonville, and people went nuts. Ron DeSantis made news appearing at the event and being given a rock star treatment as he arrived. A long entourage followed the Florida governor, including numerous members of the media. Smiling and laughing, he gave high fives and interacted with the cheering crowd. DeSantis eventually took his place by Dana White, who is the president of the UFC, another man that I actually very much respect. Dana White. While all the COVID lockdown stuff was happening and people were like, hey, you can't come to work anymore, Dana White was like, nah, bro. I want to have my employees keep working because they have families and mouths to feed and houses they need to upkeep. So I'm going to buy an island and have everyone work and fight there. What a Chad. All success creates envy. Envy can be useful. Wait, am I the first and second person? Because I've said this before. Oh, was it you? Was it you who told me Goya sodas? Oh, maybe it was you. Red and I have a very long chat history. So you might have said something to me a while back. Time to bail for my next meeting. Take care. Later, Dennis. Thank you so much for stopping by. Big fan of yours, Dennis. Dennis is a writer at Red State. If you have not read any of his stuff already, by all means, man, go to Red State. Find Dennis's stuff. Very insightful. This dude is, he's a smart guy. Okay. Why did I just sound like Trump right there? He's a smart guy. Really smart guy. Epic night for Ron DeSantis. Let's watch this. Pay attention to how much these people love this guy. All eyes on him. You see this? They're filming him. That's not an accident. And I want to point this out. This is why I wanted to tell you. This guy is America's governor. 100%. Every move this guy makes is base. Okay, everything he does. Even today, I was on here. I was going to write about it a little bit later, but this guy was signing a bill that actually empowered fathers. Which, when do you see that out of any politician? It's always focused on mothers. This dude is empowering fathers. Like, ever since he was put in charge in Florida, the guy has been making moves that just reflect what America is. You know, he released the lockdowns from Florida, and just basically started to laugh at everybody who denied science at that point in time and tried to keep everyone locked down and make them wear masks and do this and do that. He did it when it was insanely unpopular. I gotta say, man, there's a reason that people love him, and it's that. It's the fact that he treats people like Americans. He treats people like adults. You know, and he defends freedom so hardcore. I mean, y'all remember the students that the media made a huge deal out of because he went and he was like talking to these students that were wearing masks, and he's like, "No, take those off. You don't have to wear these here if you don't want to. This is ridiculous." Like, he gets mad whenever he sees oppression happening or draconianism happening in front of him. He hates it. And then, like, the media wants to tell you that Ron DeSantis is like the leader of some sort of Republican death cult. And that America, you know, he's the worst governor ever. He's dangerous. People hate him. We're all making fun of Ron DeSantis. And then you see this. Look at people were reaching out. They wanted to touch Ron DeSantis. Like, it's nuts. What a Chad. He's so. I don't want him to leave office. I don't. But if he runs for president, I will absolutely vote for him. It's not even a question. It's not a question. Bonchi wrote this one. I'll just say what I think a lot of people are, after watching this video, this dude is running in 2024. So Bonchi thinks that apparently he will run for president. I've heard all the arguments against it, and I just don't buy them. Yes, Donald Trump is going to be the front runner if he ever officially announces. He's essentially said he's running multiple times, so it's a safe bet, but I don't think that matters, and here's why. I've been open about my preferences for DeSantis, as I believe he is by far the best governor in the country and has shown himself to be uniquely equipped to thoroughly embarrass the left. For all of Donald Trump's positives, I'm also not a fan of running a 78-year-old man for president. Decline comes for all, and it often comes quickly. Joe Biden was sentient until he wasn't. Still, put aside for a second whether you'd prefer Ron DeSantis or Donald Trump as the 2024 nominee, because it's not actually relevant in the discussion. The reason I think DeSantis is going to go ahead and run is simple. He has nothing to lose by doing so and everything to lose by not doing so. Florida has a 2-term limit for governor. That means that DeSantis is out of office no matter what come 2026. If he doesn't run in 2024, he risks becoming old news and missing his moment by the time 2028 rolls around, which is exactly what happened to Chris Christie when he chose not to run in 2012. Being out of office for 2 years without already establishing oneself as a national figure is a recipe for disaster for a politician with higher aspirations. Losing a presidential primary is not a political death sentence. On the contrary, many presidential nominees lost their first time around. Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon, George H.W. Bush, John McCain, Mitt Romney, and several others come to mind in modern history. And that's just on the Republican side. DeSantis can run in 2024, establishing his national profile more so than it already is. And even if Trump defeats him, he'll be set up as the top dog come 2028. That's the path. To not run is to concede the future completely. Let history be your guide. So again, this isn't an argument on who you should vote for when things get real, but it is an argument for the idea that DeSantis is going to challenge Trump and that there's nothing wrong with that. The chips will fall where they may, and the Florida governor is smart enough to know the opportunity he has, not just regarding 2024, but also in setting up a possible 2028 run. To not run in 2 years would be political suicide. Yes, he's going to deny any interest until the time comes, but mark my words, he's running. Okay, that's really interesting. Do you guys think, chat, do you guys think that Ron DeSantis is going to run? Because I've been on the fence about it. I don't know if he is. But Bonchi makes a really good point here. I kind of wonder, because if he really wants to keep the momentum going, he will probably announce. My one worry, though, is that the fight between Trump and DeSantis would get really contentious. And given I've seen like how that ends, you know, like Ted Cruz and Trump are friends, you know, I get it. But I just worry that, like, you know, DeSantis might take a little bit of a reputation hit. I hope not. But I mean, Republican politics, like inter-party warfare is nasty for the Republican Party. Because we're all individualists, you know, we all have our thoughts and feelings. We all have our, you know, own reasons for being where we are and what we think. And in those cases, whenever we do express them, we vehemently, and we disagree, we like defend ourselves vehemently. And that can sometimes lead to people getting very, very, very angry and basically depart. Like, for instance, Romney, when he ran, man, I can remember the contention between the GOP squishes, the establishments, and, you know, supporters and stuff like that, and a lot of the people who were just not with that life. And Romney effectively divided the GOP. And Romney lost to Obama. And to this day, I still don't think that Romney lost to Obama. I think that Romney lost to the GOP. People get mad and then they piss off. They go somewhere else. It happened under Trump too. Only the reaction against Trump was insane. Like, people were actually like going full on Democrat in order to not have to vote for Trump or to show those Trumpists a lesson. You know, it was crazy stuff, man. Yes, he's going to run. You think so? If nothing else, he'll know that it'll split the media's attention and focus. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if he keeps up his momentum, he will. I think you guys, Bonchi, I think y'all might be right. If he doesn't run, I will be a little surprised. And a little disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I will probably... Don't get me wrong. Trump, good president. Did amazing things for the economy. Awesome at foreign policy. But I think DeSantis is, just judging by the way that he's been acting, the policies that he's been pushing. Look at Florida's economy. It's through the roof. He's been making decisions that were even unpopular, that actually benefited people. I would vote for DeSantis. And Bonchi does have a point. 78-year-old man. I mean, Trump is nearly an octogenarian. And let's say that Trump does get into office and, God forbid, anything bad happens to him. He has a heart attack or something like that. Or he starts to have his own bouts of dementia. What then? You know, it's at this point, it's a gamble. I'm not saying that if Trump won the nomination, I would totally vote for him. If he won the nomination, totally would. And I would do so happily, you know. But Bonchi's got a point. They'll have to attack multiple strong targets at once. You know, with what? What do they have left, dude? The left's got nothing at this point. Everything that they've thrown at Ron DeSantis is just not sticking. They've got nothing. My dad and I were at each other's throats over the support for Cruz and his support for Trump during the primary. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's Republicans can get nasty with each other, 100%. You know, It's kind of nuts how we can go from being best friends to just immediately like I've had friends like ditch me. People that I thought were friends just ditch me because of like I supported a certain policy or politician that they didn't support. I've had people unfriend me, do all sorts of stuff. It's kind of nuts. Even if he didn't, how much would he boost the Republican who does become president by being his VP? That's a good point too. Oh, dude, that would be Farmer. You just solved the problem. Let's say anything does happen to Trump. Let's see Trump wins, and anything does happen to him. VP takes over. President Ron DeSantis. Bada bing, bada boom. Problem solved. We can all relax. How much time do I have left? About 20 minutes. Watch. Student who pantsed Brian Stelter goes on Tucker and does it again. So those of you who weren't here a while back, I shouldn't even say a while back, like a few episodes ago, we covered this student who effectively, like, he wrecked Brian Stelter's whole career. I swear, this dude, in like a few sentences, this kid, this journalism student, pointed out that CNN is probably one of the biggest distributors of misinformation at a misinformation conference. It was pretty fun to watch. If you haven't seen it, definitely go back and check it out. It's pretty good. Sadly, you can also make the argument that Trump is already dupable. He brought Fauci into the position he is in today. We were all kind of duped, though. A little bit. I mean, like, we didn't know. No one knew what was going on. We had no information. We were making it up as we went along. But I understand your point. But I do think that it's possible that, like, you know, had given a little bit more time, do we still think Fauci would probably be in the position he is now? If Trump was reelected? Probably not. In fact, I'm pretty sure that Trump probably would have been doing exactly what DeSantis was doing. I'm pretty sure. That was Friday. Oh, was it Friday? See, Thank you, Red. A few days ago. There. I stream too much is my issue. Can't be unfriended if you don't have friends. That's some high brain thinking. That's good. This is why I live a very solitary life. I don't go out anymore. So anyway, this kid comes back, and for those of you who hadn't seen it, definitely go watch that stream. Because this kid's he was absolutely phenomenal. But apparently he keeps going in on Brian Stelter, which good. If there's one thing we need, it's more Brian Stelter wreckage, if you will. Let's go ahead and play this. So this kid appears on Tucker Carlson. We're going to go ahead and react to this because it's fun.
Well, some of the examples that you threw at him, are subjective. I agreed with your take on it. But some of them were just objective. Like CNN did dismiss Hunter Biden's laptop as Russian disinformation. That kid's on camera doing it. Wouldn't it have been better if he would have said, "Yeah, I got that wrong. I'm sorry about that." Wouldn't that have worked?
Gosh, I mean, to tell you the truth, I didn't exactly expect him to hand over the keys and say, "You know what? We're corrupt. Go ahead, Chris, and make CNN the truth." But I did kind of expect him to say, we retracted those stories and we apologize for saying that. And we always, we try to keep a clean record. But there was no apology. There was no remorse whatsoever. It's just, I don't know what news network you're talking about. That's not mine. When in reality, he said these things on CNN. It's all documented.
Yeah, it's hard to have credibility if you won't admit that you make a mistake ever. Everybody makes mistakes. We certainly have, but just admit it.
So
well, some of
that little moment right there is one. I mean, I even said the same thing. It's like Stelter could have just admitted freely that happened and it was a bad thing, and like, oh yeah, we're trying to get better or whatever. Our bad. He refused to. Here's what happens later on. Right? So Brian Stelter invites a guest to trash Fox News, gets shocked when he turns the tables against CNN. So Stelter apparently cannot learn his lesson. This has got to be one of the worst people on TV in terms of cable news. the worst, right? He should have learned his lesson with that kid in that moment. He did not. CNN's chief media correspondent and alleged agent of disinformation, Brian Stelter, hosts the weekend program Reliable Sources to roughly 45 homes around the country and possibly a few airports. He uses the platform to fairly regularly attack Fox News. Can I just say something real fast? That this is an actual statistic. I'm not kidding. Actual statistic, and I'll post it to my Twitter when I find it later on. There are more people who practice Wicca in the United States than there are CNN viewers, meaning you are more likely to run into somebody who considers themselves a witch than you are to find a CNN viewer in America. That is the God's honest truth. This was a poll that happened, was it like 2 years ago? Meaning that in that time frame, like CNN's viewership continued to tank from there. Like it's the lowest it's ever been. They lost 98% of their audience after 2021. If that, I mean, that's not a joke either. Which means that if you're walking down the street, you're more likely to run into somebody who casts spells on people or thinks that they're casting spells on people than you are to actually find someone who watches Brian Stelter. That's a legit, honest to God number. Like how bad do you have to be of a network to have more witches than viewers? Good God. Thank you for promoting Joe's page. Stelter's newsletter and TV show devoted huge chunks of their time to effectively trying to ruin Fox News, which isn't working, sprinkling in vague misinformation accusations along with their standard fare. It's important to remember that Stelter, who works for CNN, ignored the biggest media stories of the past couple of years, the unethical behavior and subsequent firing of Chris Cuomo. He gave scant coverage to the latter, and the firing of former CNN President Jeff Zucker, largely running interference for Zucker in the weeks and months leading up to it. His focus on Fox News can, at times, seem like he's covering for his own network's numerous issues in reporting and management. That brings us to his show this weekend, which featured Yale assistant professor Joshua Calla as a guest. Calla ran a study on partisanship in media coverage, which I speak English good, which almost assuredly meant that he would be blasting Fox News for what they do and don't cover and how they cover the issues. And to be fair, he did. But Calla insisted that Fox News isn't the only guilty party. So this is the hilarious events that transpired. Oop. Hang on 2 seconds. I gotta. So this guy gets on there, and I wish that we had. Wait, did he actually post it? Is there like a link to it? Oh, he didn't. Oh, I bet it wasn't out at the time. Well, it is now. It is now. So it's pretty hilarious to watch. Stelter, Calla. Here it is.
Josh, you all call this partisan coverage filtering. Basically, you're proving what we've sensed for a while, which is Fox viewers are in the dark about bad news for the GOP.
That's right. Fox and CNN cover different issues, and Fox News predominantly covers issues that make the GOP look good and make Democrats look bad. And on the flip side, CNN engages in this partisan coverage filtering as well that we find. For example, during this time, the Abraham Accords were signed, and these were the agreements where Israel, the UAE, and Bahrain signed a major peace agreement. And we see that Fox News covered this really major accomplishment about 15 times more than CNN did. So we established both networks are really engaging in this partisan coverage filtering. It's not about one side, it's about the media writ large.
I think you're engaging in some both sidesism there, Josh. So, Josh, you all...
What the hell? You're engaging in some both sidesism. Can that be the new Twitter meme, please? Seriously. Can we make that the new Twitter meme? Okay, so check this out. There is no such thing, and I've said this for forever. There is no such thing as an unbiased news network. Period. It doesn't exist. I'm okay with that. If you are honest about your bias. So long as you are being upfront and honest about where your thoughts and emotions and ideals and your values lie, then you can be as biased as you want. Because I know where you're coming from and I know what you want. I know what your goals are and your aims are. I can trust that you're only going to give me a side of the story that is coming from a certain ideological angle. Right? Even if you give me the whole entire story, you're not necessarily leaving something out. You're giving me the whole entire side of the story. You're going to like view it in such a way where, you know, your political opposites are the ones who are in the wrong. Fine, whatever. There's no such thing as an unbiased person. There's no such thing as an unbiased journalist. CNN's problem is that they try to pretend that they're not leftist at all. They have repeatedly said that they don't take sides. Their anchors have pretended that no one, Stelter himself pretends like, you know, we journalists don't take sides. You know, you had CNN journalists in the White House during the Trump era constantly trying to be the story instead of report the story. They were constantly trying to be the people who were going in on Trump, and they were like there to defy him. Instead of actually just asking questions that we, the people, would have liked to have known. It was a very selfish kind of way of doing things. Stelter is, in my honest to God opinion, I don't know if he's... I sometimes worry about him, guys. Like, I think that he's honestly like so caught up in his own BS that he truly believes what he's saying. That he's not necessarily a liar. He doesn't think he's lying. His obsession with Fox News and obeying the Democrat Party, like he truly 100% honestly believes in his bubble that there is no other reality. They are liars, and whatever the Democrats say is the truth. And we've kind of talked about this before, because remember that Twitter safety exec, Vijaya, I believe her name was. Vijaya. You know, Tim Pool and Joe Rogan were trying to explain to her that, you know, a lot of her policies in terms of banning and suspending people and shadow banning and all that stuff was being done from a position of ideological leftism, and this lady could not wrap her head around what they were saying. She was struggling so badly to understand that your way isn't necessarily the way. It's just an opinion that you have. She could not understand that her position was an opinion. And I kind of wonder if Brian Stelter is of the same. But I mean, I feel like you'd think that it would not be the case, and he's having to tiptoe around his position based on how he responded to that kid and his position on responding to this guy now. About like both sidesism. Like he's trying to not necessarily defend his side, in my honest opinion. He's trying to make it seem, or he's trying not to allow his bubble to collapse. I'll put it that way. It's a little strange, in my honest opinion, that Brian Stelter is caught so often in a lie, and he's confronted with his own hypocrisy, just as he was here. I remember we discussed this last time. He had two guests on his show. One was a former CNN producer, and the other one was a former CNN anchor at two different points in time. And whenever he asked, how do you think CNN is doing today? Both of them responded with, y'all are messing up because y'all are so partisan. The anchor was like, I used to watch CNN to get my news. Now I watch CNN to yell at the TV. Brian Stelter sees on and hears all of this. And his reaction is to try to paint the other guy as the issue. You're engaging in both sidesism. Yeah, he is. Because both sides are doing it. Only one is really honest about it. Stelter is living in his own fantasy world, and he is doing whatever he can to keep it afloat. Like he makes excuses to the kid. He tries to blame this guy for both sidesism, which what even is that? Like you're is it trying to like, oh yeah, well, you know, you do it too kind of thing? Well, if the boot fits. Brian Stelter's just a weird guy. He's just a weird guy. What's up, Carrie? I'm not attacking your faith. Your faith is a little bit more realistic than whatever CNN pumps out, Brady. The news isn't your friend. They are not a service. They are a business. Thank you for reiterating that PSA. It's mostly sideless coverage. Yeah. Beware, I'm in a red state. Virginia! Stelter needs to have his bubble popped. Yes, absolutely. And I think that it's going to happen sooner than later, to be honest with you, because with this merger CNN's got going on, or not CNN, Time Warner, which owns CNN, with that merger happening with Discovery, the goal, they say, is to make CNN a more central kind of network with like less partisan reporting, and it's a really hardcore focus on news, kind of getting away from the Jeff Zucker kind of way of doing things. And I do not see Brian Stelter having a future at CNN if that's the case. Brian Stelter is unable to do anything but attack the right. I don't think I've ever seen him actually report news. His whole entire job seems to be to attack other networks or people or organizations that have some sort of right-leaning bias. Even if they don't, if they just threaten the Democrat Party narrative at all, he goes after them. How does a guy like that... That's how you'll know, guys, if CNN is actually serious about going more centered, kind of like displaying a more centered, focused news network. If Stelter still has a job, then we'll know that they're not that serious. Because I do not see how he has a future. That consultant's face says, why did I bother coming here instead of going to Tucker and, telling my bartender and you know what? I'm glad he 100%, but I'm glad he actually went on Stelter's show and did that. Because I bet Stelter was going to try to have like a nice gotcha moment for Fox, but he's like, yeah, but CNN's probably worse, if not just as, just as bad, if not worse. I think he's just worried about keeping his job. Wasn't he a podcaster that landed on CNN? I have no idea where. I assume that Stelter was grown on a farm, and he's attached to a root somewhere. I don't know. But I do not see him surviving much longer. If he does, I will know CNN's not serious. Look at his coverage of the silly mess with CNN president. Didn't the airports dump headline news? I hope so. So no more. Oh, that had to be a huge blow to CNN if they got rid of the airports. It used to be you couldn't walk into an airport without seeing every single TV tuned in to CNN. And I used to get so annoyed because it was always the same. I guess maybe even airports were like, yo, this is too much. We can't do this anymore. No more CNN. These people are crazy. The last thing you want to see before you get on a really long flight that's probably been delayed and might sit in the tarmac for a little bit longer because of overweight issues or whatever is have to sit there and endure Brian Stelter telling you about how you're a bad person because you voted for a Republican. That's the last thing you want. It makes the tension go up even higher. Question, what is the viewership of CNN versus Blaze or Daily Wire? We all know Tucker blows CNN away. I don't know. I do know that Steven Crowder gets way more viewership than like, I think, if not on par viewership with CNN's most popular anchor in prime time, if I'm not mistaken, at least lately. And you had CNN not even be able to achieve the top 25. Like, they couldn't breach, I think, 500 million. Or I'm sorry, 500,000 viewers. If I'm not mistaken. I think Steven Crowder overall, like if you go to his YouTube, his viewership numbers are far bigger than almost every CNN show. I would actually be more, I bet Tim Pool, The Quartering, maybe even It's a Gundam. They get probably more viewership than most CNN shows. I'm willing to bet. If you were to like average it all out, even the Garbage Pail Kids didn't want him. Can't be very good if there are more witches than CNN viewers. Yeah. Your Mug Club? Yeah. Crowder's an old friend of mine, man. And he's had a hell of a journey. And I'm, dude, if there's anyone who could actually I love the fact that he has been so good at effectively attracting people, like young people, to the conservative movement, or at least at the very least, if you're not a conservative yourself, you don't care about that, which perfectly fair. I have at least loved the way that he's gotten people to think and break out of, that leftist rut, that non-practicing leftist rut that I spoke about earlier. Ben Shapiro honestly did a lot of the same thing, good for him. Good for them, dude. And we need more of that. And I think that we're approaching a turning point. And they've tried to slam the brakes on people like, Crowder and Shapiro, hopefully me in the future. But they failed because the Streisand effect happened and we have different outlets we can go to now. It's pretty awesome. Things are looking up, man. I will say that. I'm really happy that we've got people who are willing. I mean, the age of the internet really helped, but we've got people willing to stand up and actually not just talk about the news, but try to be entertaining with it as well. Because that's a big thing. That's a big thing that we missed out on for a long time. I can remember when my first CPAC I ever went to, it was the stuffiest event. Yeah, everyone was in suits, even the young men and women who were there. You had these young men showing up in what effectively looked like their dad's suits. It just they didn't fit. They were awkward. It was weird, Now it's a much different atmosphere whenever you go to CPAC. And thank God for that. The right needed an injection of personality. And they finally got it. Changed my mind to some of the best out there. Oh my God, Jeremy's Razors commercials are the best. Dude, they're funny. That's the way you do a commercial. And the change my mind stuff, did y'all see that latest one? I wish, dude, if I could make an entire stream just me reacting to change my mind episodes, I would. I would totally 100% do it. Those are so fun to watch. So fun to watch. Virginia! All right, guys. That's going to do it for me today. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Again, follow me at the Brandon Morse on Twitter. If you aren't already, subscribe. Click the bell notification icon so you know when I go live. And if you haven't done it yet, please click like on this stream. It really helps us out. And go to redstate.com. By the way, VIP memberships, super helpful for us at redstate.com. If you want a discount upon sign up, enter promo code Morse, M-O-R-S-E. I'll get you a nice discount. A lot of stuff behind the paywall, including daily from me, articles that you can't read on the front page, and much more. So thank you guys so much once again for tuning in. I will see you guys on Wednesday. Stay sane. I know it's a struggle, but do it anyway. Much love to you guys. Peace!